The director of BBC Radio is here, Helen Boaden. Welcome to Dublin.
It's lovely to be here, even if it's very cold.
It is pretty horrid, isn't it, out there? You've done 2 speeches today.
I have.
Value for money.
Value for money, that's all we're about at the BBC.
Let me just pick up one thing first of all. DAB+, you're going to have a trial?
Well, we're doing a small experiment to see how it works for us, because don't forget, we started on the DAB journey in the UK a long while ago, before DAB+ was invented. So we're just sort of putting our toe in the water to see what is and isn't possible with it. But I think we need to be realistic. DAB+ in the UK would be enormously challenging at this point, not least building out a whole new infrastructure. So it's a toe in the water, that's all it is.
You talked a lot about Radio 1 and about its multi-platform strategy, the fact that Radio 1 has to exist now everywhere its potential consumers are, not just as a radio network. Is that something that is going to become important for all the BBC networks, do you think?
I think it's possible, but not probable. So we've just done a piece of work looking at the strategy for what we call visualisation, which is filming. And it's obvious that for the Radio 1 audience, it isn't a nice to have. They just expect it. For the Radio 2 audience, they love having the opportunity to watch, say, Elton John or Rod Stewart or some of the greats filmed doing a Radio 2 concert, but put on our red button service. For Radio 3 and Radio 4, the audiences are pretty indifferent to filming. There may be things they would enjoy. So the Wreath Lectures this year from Grayson Perry, we would have loved to have filmed them and put them on the Radio 4 website. Actually, it's not that we didn't think of it, it's that he had contractual obligations that meant that wasn't possible. But it's those very special things I can see us filming for other networks. I think over a 10-15 year period, and I may have got the timescales all wrong, I can see most of the radio stations becoming multimedia brands in the sense of they will be radio and online and on digital, and also more visualization, more video. But it's hard to see them all becoming really video propositions.
One thing I was interested in was something you said at the end about people's attention spans and how you feel that perhaps longer form radio is drifting away and perhaps we want shorter form. The world of the podcast would suggest that the opposite of that is true.
No, I think what I was talking about was the new audience coming through. I wasn't talking about the current audience. I think we genuinely don't know what someone under 25 will want from radio or television when they get older. You know, this is a generation brought up on Google. You know, everything is snackable. Now, that may be something they leave behind as they get older, or it's something that may condition everything they do. I think in the current form, long form is incredibly loved and enjoyed by many, many listeners, but I'm not sure that we can guarantee it will stay that way. On the other hand, those audiences who are currently under 25 now may discover the pleasure of long form and going into things in greater depth. We just don't know.
I was going to ask you about this, because I can remember in my time at the BBC, in the 80s and 90s, we were told that actually the whole radio habit would disappear.
Yeah, and it never did.
And never did it? And we were told that people who were brought up on music radio would never listen to speech radio,
and that's not
which
true
they
either.
plainly do.
Although it is true, if you're not brought up on speech radio, it's a much tougher challenge. My husband never encountered any speech radio till he met me, and he finds drama on radio absolutely baffling. He cannot distinguish the voices. He does listen to, you know, the programmes of other sorts with a few voices. So we shouldn't assume that what happened in the past will happen in the future. I heard a different thing when I was at BBC Radio. I heard that people would always grow into the radio habit as they got older, and I still deep down think that's probably true, but it may be a slightly different radio from the radio we grew up with.
Helen Boaden, thank you very much.
It's a total pleasure.